The Granby Land Trust's Western Barndoor Hill Preserve is a hidden gem located within a large tract of continuous forest. The preserve is practically surrounded by preserved land, with the McLean Game Refuge to the east, south, and west, and various land trust, state, and town properties, and conservation easements to the north. This makes this a great location for wildlife and nature viewing, especially from the exposed eastern-facing vantage point on the summit of the preserve. The Western Barndoor Hill Preserve is part of a chain of trap rock ridges which are collectively known as the Knolls, which stretch west to east across Granby, connecting to the Metacomet Ridge. These hilltop areas create unique habitats for plants and wildlife, as the rocky, talus slopes and the dry summits allow for rare plants to grow, resulting in the state of Connecticut designating these areas as critical habitats in need of preservation. The 33 acres of the Western Barndoor Hill Preserve were donated to the Granby Land Trust in 1999 by Barndoor Hills Development LLC, and now this property will be preserved and protected forever. The parking for the preserve is located on Barndoor Hills Road, directly across from the intersection of Kettle Pond Lane. There is a pull-off on the side of Barndoor Hill Road to allow for easy access. You will see the Granby Land Trust sign which tells you that you are in the right place. Please do not park on Kettle Pond Lane to access this preserve. The Land Trust's Western Barndoor Hill Preserve features a single trail that is 1.1 miles round trip and is uphill for much of the way, featuring approximately 330 feet in elevation gain. The entrance to the trail can be found by crossing Barndoor Hill Road and walking up Kettle Pond Lane past the first house on your left. The entrance to the trail is clearly marked by a Land Trust sign, and a small kiosk can be found a little further into the woods. The trail starts off with a slight incline with a wetland area off to the left. This allows for a variety of shrubs and in turn birds to be found in this area. The forest in this area is dominated by large white pines, maples, birches, and oaks. There are remnants of dead eastern red cedar trees that are either standing dead in the forest or have since fallen to the forest floor. These trees require more sunlight that has since been reduced by the enclosed canopy above, causing these trees to die out. This suggests that at one point this canopy was much more open than it is now, and photographs from the past show that the forest in this area was much different many years ago. Now these cedar trees act as nurse logs, allowing new seeds a place to sprout above the leaf litter, and creating the next generation of trees within the forest. After a rainstorm, look closely at the forest floor, where you might find eastern newts crawling about among the leaf litter. These newts travel frequently after a rainstorm during warm weather. The newts that you will see will be a bright orange or red color with many spots along their body. This coloration acts as a warning signal to predators, since the skin of these newts contains a toxin. The newts remain on land for 2 to 3 years before they move to an aquatic habitat where they remain for adulthood. As you gain elevation along the trail, listen for the sounds of red-bellied woodpeckers hammering away and calling in the treetops above. Much of the forest floor is covered in small rocks, so watch your step as you hike up along the trail. For much of this area, the trail is lined with ferns and other saplings growing in the understory. This allows for good hiding spots for gray squirrels and chipmunks to forage in relative safety. A careful eye along the edge of the trail may reveal white-tailed deer that bed down along the trail pretty frequently. Because this preserve is part of a large expanse of protected forest land, and because it contains varied habitats, conditions are ideal for bobcats. While this species is seldom seen, the Western Barndoor Hill Preserve's location allows these amazing animals to thrive. Continuing upward, the first changes in the forest can be noticed along the forest floor. The ferns and understory plants that were common below have reduced in numbers and occurrences. Now, particularly in the fall, the forest floor is coated with leaves of maples, birches, oaks, and hickories from above. Even in fall, asters can be found blooming. The trail leads through a young white pine grove and then turns hard to the right to continue uphill. It is at this point in the hike that you may notice the first change in the forest canopy. More light is starting to reach the forest floor, allowing grasses to grow. The canopy also changes from the mixed forest below to a canopy that is dominated by hickories, ash, and oaks. Follow the stone wall on your right and walk uphill, watching for chipmunks poking out of the holes between the rocks. The trail meanders uphill along the highest portion of the hike, with the forest sloping down on either side. Grasses and blueberry bushes now dominate the understory, as the soil is much drier along the summit. Cedar trees are also a dominant tree species here, as they're able to gather enough sunlight and are able to handle the more extreme climate. This is a rare habitat in Connecticut, one that is unique to these trap rock ridges. The grass and low plants in the understory make the forest look almost park-like and open compared to the forest below. This unique and fragile habitat is home to several endemic species which rely on this habitat. It is very important that visitors remain on the marked trail leading to the overlook point, as these rare plants can be easily trampled. The forest is home to a variety of common species as well. Various woodpecker holes can be found among the trees, and sitting quietly will reveal small songbirds scurrying about among the trees. As you crest the highest point in the preserve, the trail splits the hill in half, with the north slope on your left and the south slope on your right. The south slope continues the open canopy of hickories and cedars, with grasses and low blueberry bushes growing in the understory. The northern slope is the shaded side, resulting in wetter soil conditions and a denser, mixed forest of birches and maples. The trees along the summit might look short compared to the other trees in the preserve. These trees are exposed to higher winds and more extreme temperatures and weather, resulting in a more stunted appearance. Their growth is slowed, and branches are removed from the high winds. A close inspection of some of the trunks can reveal that the trees have gradually spun around by the winds on the summit. This unique environment results in the cedar trees along the summit to take on a unique shape and branch structure. The overlook point faces east and is slightly downhill from the actual summit of the preserve. This vantage point provides for fantastic views, specifically of the McLean Game Refuge and the preserve's sister hill, the eastern Barndoor Hill. The eastern view also makes this preserve a fantastic spot to see the sunrise. During the fall season, you will be hard-pressed to find a better vantage point, to enjoy the fall foliage. This vista also is a great place during fall to witness the migration of birds of prey, such as these turkey vultures that fly between the knolls. These hilltops are also good stopover points for songbirds along their migration routes. The berries on the cedar trees prove to be an important food source for the birds moving south for the winter. Once you're done enjoying the views from the vantage point, begin to head back down the trail, enjoying this unique landscape. Be on the lookout for white-tailed deer that forage for acorns and hickory nuts that have fallen to the forest floor. And as you continue your downward descent, the forest will once again transform from the dry summit back into the wetter forest with maples, birches, and large white pines. The transformation is slightly easier to notice on the way downhill than on the way uphill. The way downhill also provides nice views into the forest canopy. The views into the canopy can be especially helpful when the forest is alive with migratory songbirds. This higher vantage point allows for visitors to see birds that tend to stay high up in trees. One such bird that will be sure to catch your eye is the scarlet tanager. The males of this species are bright red with black wings, and they often spend their days singing high up in the trees. These birds have a beautiful song that fills the trees in the spring and summer months. Continue along the trail heading back to the entrance of the property on Kettle Pond Lane. Take your time heading back downhill, however, as the descent on the trail offers new perspectives and views into the forest below. We hope you enjoyed your hike on this beautiful and unique property. The Granby Land Trust protection of properties like this one provides habitat for a variety of plant and animal species and ensures that remarkable views like the one from the western Barndoor Hill will be preserved for all to experience. We thank you for your support of the Granby Land Trust, and when you visit, be sure to leave no trace.